My fiance left me while we were planning our wedding and trying for a baby, and now, 2 years later. So to give some backstory, around 2 years ago, my ex-fiance, who I'd been in a relationship with for almost 10 years, unceremoniously just left me. It never fully made sense to me, as there were no warning signs. We were actively planning our wedding and finally agreed to try for a baby as we were both in our 30s, and time was ticking. Then one day, he just started acting sort of off. Wasn't saying I love you before he left for work for the day, was spending more time out drinking with his friends than he was at home. He'd been struggling with his mental health since COVID lockdown, so I assumed he was having a bit of a downward spiral. So I sat down with him one day and just asked him if everything was okay with him. He tried to brush it off initially and kept saying he was fine, so I changed the question and asked if we were okay. He looked like he really didn't want to answer, so I asked again. He paused, and in that moment, I knew it was over. I asked if he still loved me. He said he loved me, but wasn't in love with me anymore, and that was it. Within a week, he had moved out, leaving 90% of his belongings to be collected at a later date and to serve as a constant reminder that he was just gone. To say it hit me hard was an understatement. I spiraled massively. I was at the lowest point I had ever been in my life, so I tried to end it all. It just hurt too much, feeling like there was something so wrong with me that he had to just leave. Fortunately, a friend managed to get me to a hospital before I did any serious damage to myself, and while I still felt awful about myself most of the time, it got a little easier. I ended up dating that friend a few months later. A lot of people said it was too soon to move on, but honestly, I never set out to have another relationship at all. But his constant support, presence, and reassurance that there was nothing wrong with me made me want to spend time with those who truly gave a crap about me, and in time, we developed feelings for each other. We had a beautiful relationship filled with love and laughter. And much to our surprise, I ended up pregnant 9 months into our relationship. We decided to keep the baby, even though our relationship was still in its early stages. And 9 months later, our beautiful daughter was born. We are still as strong as ever today, and continuing to build an amazing life together as a family now onto present day. I guess my ex has been reflecting on the past recently due to a lot of deaths in his family, and his mother, who I'm still close with today, reached out to me to ask whether I'd be willing to meet up with him as he had something to get off his chest. She didn't know what he wanted to talk to me about, as it was something he could only discuss with me, but she would understand if I said no. I decided to think about it for a few days before I agreed that I would meet up with him at a local coffee shop. I got there early because, Mama needs her caffeine fixed with these early morning wake-ups and night feeds. I was already sat down when he came in, and he gave me the saddest looking smile while I merely just nodded to him and motioned for him to sit down and get out whatever he needed to tell me. I was a little bit speechless at what he had to say. He said that when we started trying for a baby and nothing was happening, even though we were closely tracking my ovulation cycle and testing every day for that sweet spot, he realized something wasn't right. So he secretly took a day off work to see a fertility doctor. They found that due to an undiagnosed issue in one of his testicles, the likelihood of him ever being able to conceive a biological child of his own was incredibly low. He knew that I loved him so deeply that I would have given up my dream of having children just for him, and he said he couldn't live with that on his conscience, that I deserved to have the life and family I'd always wanted, only with someone else. He kept apologizing profusely for hurting me so much in the process, but tried to rationalize that I had got what I'd wanted in the end. So his plan ultimately worked. I just sat there silent for a few minutes and just looked at him dead in the eyes and said that that was never his decision to make. He took away my choice and nearly destroyed me in the process. And I got up and left. It's been a few days and I'm still processing. My partner knew I was meeting up with my ex, and he knows something is up, but is giving me space until I feel ready to talk about it. But honestly, I'm shook. Like, did my ex honestly think I'd be like, okay, thanks for letting me know, and then we'd all be friends? Again, relevant comments. He was having an affair that is now over and is reflecting. He used the lie to try to make himself seem like a martyr. I did suspect that for quite some time, there was a girl in our friend group he had become oddly close to over the last year of our relationship. She was one of the main people he was going out drinking with when I started realizing something wasn't quite right. So of course my mind did go there for a while. He ended up moving in with her as housemates. After he moved out, she tried coming over to collect the remainder of his things. I was pretty mad and said I didn't consent to her being there, and if she didn't leave my property, I call the police on her for trespassing. I don't believe anything was ever actually going on there though, as I heard through the grapevine that she was seeing some drug dealer shortly after my ex moved in with her. Commenter 2. Absolutely. Your ex-boyfriend had no right to take away your choice in this matter. Did he know about your failed attempt at suicide? Why did he not come back then and admit that it was all a mistake because you couldn't have babies if you are dead, right? I think it is. Either he is an absolute moron or he is trying to give you some bullcrap reason so that you think of him in a better light going forward. Op, yes. He was aware of the attempt. We had a pretty close-knit group of friends, some of whom were really supportive afterwards. They made him aware. I got, and I hope you're okay, so sorry for everything message after he found out. I never responded, and it was at that point that I blocked and deleted his number and all his socials because I couldn't trust myself not to drunk message him, begging for him to come back. Commenter 3. There were other ways to deal with his infertility: donor sperm, adoption. The fact that he would rather have taken this decision from you than discuss options with you proves that he was not a suitable long-term partner for you. There are lots of hard decisions couples need to make together, and he demonstrated that he was unwilling to give you any real agency in your life together. You are better off now with your new partner. Op, oh, I know. I'm absolutely so much better off. My current partner is pretty much the opposite of my ex, which was why it was such a surprise that I developed feelings for him. He's extremely different from my usual type, but he's such a good egg. We had a chance to talk about everything late last night. Our daughter is going through a bit of a sleep regression, so late nights are pretty common for us at the minute, and he was super empathetic and equally as pissed. I got my first period since having the baby this morning, and he ran me a bath and told me to go sulk for as long as I need to. But bless this man 5 days later. First off, thank you all for your lovely comments and messages of support. I was not expecting my post to blow up like it did, so I wasn't really expecting to make an update to my previous post, and definitely not this soon, but boy, does it get interesting. So of course I plan to leave this situation alone at this point and completely put it behind me. However, my former mother-in-law reached out to me as I hadn't spoken to her in a few days, which is quite unlike me. A few people said in a few comments that I should cut her off as well as the ex, but this woman was like a mother to me for almost 10 years. When I was going through difficulties with my own family, this woman opened her home to me and gave me a safe place to stay if I needed. She had been more of a parent to me than my own parents, and basically adopted me as the daughter that she had always wanted. So when I say we are incredibly close, I genuinely mean it. Regardless of anything that's happened with her son, we have a really strong relationship. Outside of that, we typically have a good catch-up once a week, and message in between. Nothing I say to her gets passed on to her son. From what I can gather, the trickles of information he gets is through the grapevine of the group of friends we mutually share. So when she reached out to see if I was okay yesterday, I decided I'd pop over and catch up with her. Turns out, he came clean to her when she asked exactly what had gone on, as she hadn't heard from me in a few days, and she was worried. She went absolutely ballistic at him and currently is not speaking to him at all. Then she told me something I did not know, and something she assumed I'd known all along. It turns out that when he was born, he had undescended testicles. He had the surgery to correct it. But there was always going to be the chance that he would have fertility issues in adulthood. He was meant to go for checkups once he passed puberty age to see whether there was any lasting damage, and he claimed to his mother that he had gone to these and everything was fine. But neither of us actually believed this, so the entire time we discussed having children. He knew there was a possibility that all he was shooting was blanks, but neglected to actually let me know this for 10 freaking years. Bear in mind, we were probably having unprotected lovemaking for 2 years of our relationship, not actively trying, but we had agreed that if something happened, we'd be happy about it. So I think when we were actively trying to have a baby and nothing was happening, it sort of gave him the mental tip-off that all was not well, and he finally decided to get that checkup he'd been putting off. I'm flabbergasted, guys. In regard to my partner and I's relationship, we are absolutely fine. He's used to my selkie episodes. Ha ha ha. I did eventually fill him in after a few days of being mildly annoyed, and he agreed that it was super fucked up and agreed with a lot of the comments that his timing for telling me all this was absolutely comical. We did suspect for a while that the real reason he decided to leave was cheating initially because he'd gotten strangely close to one of the girls in our friend group, the majority of which dropped me like hot crap once we split. Turns out there's nothing going on there, but another little tidbit off my ex's mum that she found out also. He's dating this girl's 60-year-old mother. Good lord, his life is a dumpster fire. I don't even think I'm mad anymore, just mildly amused. Absolutely done with that.